He had more statues than any hero in the world. I will ask you, do you see, even if the Chinese are here in the Philippines, do you see a Mao Zedong statue in the Philippines? Do you see a George Washington or an Abraham Lincoln monument in the Philippines? But everywhere Filipinos go, there is a Jose Rizal monument, even in the places where he did not go. Why? I tell you. We Filipinos, sa totoo lang, wala tayong pakialam sa mga knights. Sa totoo lang, we don't understand that. The Filipino culture don't understand that. When our founders like Torres rode their horses, they lived in a different time where caballeros were known. And today, for example, what's a knight? Right? It's a fairy tale. You know, when they see us with our uniforms, with our medals, Filipinos think that we live in a fairy tale. Diba? But of course, we all know how important our fraternal organization is in our heart of hearts. But I will tell you, many times they do not understand us. They will think that we worship Rizal. They would think that we idolize Rizal to the extent that we do not see him as a human being. But people in Europe, for example, who came from countries with monarchies, know about knighthood. A lot of countries, for example, even in Asia, like, for example, Malaysia, they're very much conscious of titles. And the Knights of Rizal is a legitimate organization chartered by the Philippine government to give out titles for the Philippines.
Mm.
Because it's in the charter.
That's correct.
And so, you know, we Filipinos, when we become Knights of Rizal, sometimes, you know, we know that it's an honor. But when Europeans become Knights of Rizal, they cry. Because
it has a different meaning for them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they love Rizal, but in a way, they know the weight of the title, Knight of Rizal.
That's correct. Now, sir,
that's it.
If I would ask you, I wanted to go back a little bit on you mentioned that Rizal's monument as a unifying force of people who are away from the country. And they want to be able to identify again their roots. Rizal being a unifying force, how do you, how would you be able to use that Rizal, a unifying force, and to the Knights of Rizal where there is a lot of internal strife sometimes?
Yeah, of
course. Why the big well, we are talking about the Knights of Rizal. Why the double standard? Yeah, we look at Rizal as a unifying force, but on our actions in our organization, sometimes, not all the times, we're not unified.
Ouch, right? Ouch.
Why do you think that is so, sir?
Okay.
Are we not? Do we not appreciate enough the works of Rizal, or is it just human nature in our culture?
Yes, you've said it, Alwin. Sir Alwin, there's a reality that the world is not perfect. There would be interests among personalities inside each chapter, inside the whole organization itself, that would be jostling for influence. Not necessarily for selfish motivations, but for believing that their method is right, or their way of thinking about Rizal, or the way of running the organization is right. But that is not a stain to the organization. Why? Because that happens in all organizations. Maybe some people feel that it happens more to some chapters than in other chapters where there's more harmony. But all these things, for example, are, we have disagreements. I would admit, Sir Alwin, that there was a time that I lied low. A very brief time where I lied low because I did not agree so much with some of the political stand of the Supreme Council. I have to be upfront about that. Because there were some political things that were taken. But I did not speak against the Knights and the organization. I respect the organization. I respect my brothers. I lied low, but every time I am being asked to talk, I come. Every time I am asked to attend, I attend. Every time the Knights needed some guidance, for example, I give guidance as much as I can. Because in the end, despite my disagreement with some of the politics, and not all, I say, because I think that the Knights of Rizal is doing well, especially now during the pandemic. We are actually, there are a lot of things that are happening despite the fact that we are not meeting each other, right? Because we are forced in the pandemic that each chapter will have an activity separate from the one that is being called by the Supreme Council. Well, sometimes being a Knight is just going to Rizal Day, going to our Charter Day, right? And that's it. You're the Knight of Rizal. You pay your dues, right? But you don't have activities, right?
Now,
so what I'm saying here is, just to finish the point,
sure.
Basically, is despite our disagreements, we still have at the back of our minds, this is not for personal things. I'm not here to grandstand. And anyone is not here to grandstand. We are here for Jose Rizal. We are here to be connected by his name. We might have even disagreements with how we look at him. But the way, his spirit is the one that binds us. So if you're going to look at it, yes, I've heard about this. This is the reality. There's politics in the Knights. But the Knights is still here.
Yes.
After over 100
years. Mm-hmm. Now, sir,
no problem.
That's right. Now, sir, Jose Rizal actually left us an example in something in unity, and in whenever there's the political climate is pretty hot. I know you know the Plaridels and Jose Rizal.
Of course.
When they tried to elect a president in Europe for the propaganda movement, don't you think, sir, that should be emphasized more, underscored more in our organization as a beacon of how we should treat each other whenever there's at the height of political differences?
Well, that is one. Rizal, in a way, gave way, right, for Del Pilar. Even if he believed at first that the election was just formality. That Del Pilar was actually used by Rizal's enemies against him when Del Pilar and Rizal were like really close friends. And that Rizal did not forget that. But what happened? Did Rizal not continue writing in the La Solidaridad? If you're going to look at the great articles of Jose Rizal, a lot of them, he wrote them in the Pitan. Or he wrote them after he left Spain because of that conflict. So he continued contributing. Right? But also, I would like to go back to the La Liga Filipina, as one of our Knights, Sir Loro Kibuyen, talked about it in The Nation Aborted, his book. Well, we have to emphasize the La Liga Filipina as like the model of how Knights of Rizal should think of Rizal's concept of the nation. which is basically, di ba, to unite the whole archipelago into one compact, vigorous, and homogeneous body. Unity is important. Di ba? And what are the other things in the Constitution of the La Liga Filipina? Di ba? Extending help to each other in times of need. Di ba? And fighting for people against injustice. And the encouragement of instruction, agriculture, and commerce. So that's where the social club comes in. Right? Because we have to be able to do things together, because, you know, sama-sama together is better. You know, sama-sama together is better. I mean, I'm just imagining Fidel Ramos saying it. But basically what we're saying here is that the social club aspect of the Knights is important, because we have to build bridges and build connections, because networking is the most important thing when you want to venture into something successful. Do not antagonize everyone. Be friends with everybody. Diba? Eh, sir, how about, you know, saying the truth where it hurts? Now, I think there's a way of saying the truth. Well, you do not disrespect the person you're telling the truth. And I call that emphatic honesty. You can say things, the truth that you want to say to someone, even if it hurts, but in a more emphatic way. Which I think Rizal is a sensitive man. When he is insulted, he gets hurt easily. So that's one, I think. And that's why I think Rizal would have opted that we have empathic, because we are brothers, empathic honesty with each other. And so I think that's how to settle disputes in the Rizal way.
Now, sir, would you say that Jose Rizal started the Kidlat Club?
Yeah.
Jose Rizal started the La Liga Filipina. And of course the political party, political organization in Europe of Filipinos. Would you say that Rizal, knowing all this, and correct me if I'm wrong, none of them really prospered. Do you think Rizal was a good organizer?
Oh, that's a
or
very
is he more, or is he more of a writer, a thinker?
In many ways, I can relate to Rizal. You know, because not everyone, you know, we have to accept that as human beings, we cannot do everything. We cannot do it. Rizal, even if he's Rizal, is not perfect. And the most noble intentions, that's why it's very important. Self-discovery is important when you're a Knight of Rizal. What can you contribute to the organization? For example, the interesting question you gave, Ambet answered it. There were people who say Rizal should have been president. And how could he be president? He cannot even be elected by his own organization. You know why Rizal also? He's not perfect in a way that, although he is empathic, he can also be his principles is just too hard. You cannot bend him. And many times, he always tells his friends in the propaganda movement, if they are womanizing, if they are, you know, drinking too much and gambling too much, that he looks like the KJ, the killjoy. And that's why I think, if you're going to look at the aptitude of Rizal, I guess, which is also why I can relate to him. And I will begin with how I see myself, how I assess myself. I'm not a very good organizer. I'm not very good with logistics. So when I offer help to any organization, I say that is not my style. Do not make me Do not put me into leadership positions. But what can I give you? I can talk for you, definitely, because I know I know I can tell a story. I have a talent given to me by the Lord, I believe, to tell compelling stories that people easily understand. So, but I do not know logistics. I cannot organize. And ideas. I can give ideas. So in many ways, maybe I am like Rizal in that sense. Bobo sa logistics, pero magaling sa ideas. And the problem with the propaganda movement during the time of Rizal was that Rizal are giving all these wonderful ideas, but people were just too busy doing anything else. That's the problem. They did not see the vision that Rizal wanted to do, which is, of course, the first thing. Rizal went to Europe, according to Floro Kibuyan, because of one project, and that is to make the book about the Philippines. Which you have to venture alone with the No Limit Answer, because the people did not want to write.
That's right.
They were busy doing other things. So that's why, he made it himself. So yeah, I think that's the problem with Rizal. That's why Bonifacio is a better organizer. Because he was able to make people die for the country. Imagine.
Now, sir, I guess I want to turn the tables around.
Yeah.
How would the international headquarters, knowing all this, be an instrument in unifying the Knights of Rizal? Sometimes they have to walk a very tight rope because of the personalities.
Yes.
Now we are here talking, and just for the sake of argument, what do you think the international headquarters do in able to quell, if at all, major political unrest or problems in chapters?
Without pertaining to any particular situation, because I myself, I'm not privy to a lot of these things. But in my, shall we say, in my common sense, what I'm thinking here is that what I learned from the social sciences is that things are resolved because of listening. I am able to know about something because I listened to the Black Nazarene devotees in my dissertation, for example. I do not impose my idea. This is what's happening. I mean, this is my idea. This is what you're doing. No. One thing that should be clear, I think, in conflict resolution is that each conflict is unique. That's why, when you hear a conflict, the facts has to be known by the Supreme Council. Meaning, intelligence is important, because when you deal with personalities, you have to know how to talk to them. Because the Supreme Council might come off as dictatorial, and it has all the right to be, because it is the Supreme Council, right? But we all know that doesn't always work with the leaders. So listening to the problem, what's the root cause of this problem? Trying to not meddle in such a way na may kinakampihan ka. You're taking sides. But also knowing who is the wrong person and being straightforward about it. Maybe in an emphatic way. But, of course, it's easier said than done. But the important operative thing really is to listen. Be sensitive. And also, we all know that each chapter is independent as well. Yes, we are beholden to the Supreme Council because, we have the Knights of Rizal. We are a disciplined force in many ways. But also, we also respect that maybe if there are things that the chapters can resolve with it among themselves, that the international headquarters did not have to meddle, then they have to first resolve it among themselves. Because it is important that the Knights of Rizal Supreme Headquarters is not seen as someone who always meddles on everything, where it's doing a lot of things already. Right? But it is important that when they are called, Supreme Council, help, SOS, right, by the members themselves, then there is now an opportunity to come in. But, I hope that as matured individuals, Sir Alwin, right, that we are able to resolve it among ourselves internally.
That's right.
Yeah, that's I think that's the most prudent way to do it. And I believe that because I'm a chismoso, no? And I have a lot of people who can tell me. But in many ways, I believe that a lot of the things are resolved. Some of the things are just resolved naturally. You know what I mean, right? Things just happen and are resolved naturally. So the nights continue. The nights roll on.
I agree with you, sir, that really the international headquarters really should set the tone, should
Right.
set the agenda, but they really should not micromanage the ins and outs in a chapter, because there's really the best people to resolve a conflict are the people who are in the conflict themselves. But
And by the way, just to add a bit about that, conflicts are not necessarily bad things, because conflicts can be an opportunity to create better ideas or synthesis. The antithesis, antithesis, synthesis. I mean, although there are times that being harmonious is a good thing, sometimes too much harmony brings in mediocrity. Because when all of you think alike, then there's no development in that. But if someone challenges your idea, and then you will say, come up with a better idea, ako kasi, when I want to resolve conflicts or kahit na sa suggestion lang na kung ano ang i-webinar namin, what I try to do is that I do not just impose my idea. I try to say, this is your idea too. You look at your first idea, I incorporated this into mine. I just gave it a more contemporary touch. Mga ganon. So, I learned this from Sir Knight Jonathan Balsamo, my good friend, is that yes, there are times that you have to promote yourself in your agenda. There are times that you have to do that. But if you want to push your agenda, it's not enough to just push it in your perspective. You have to share the perspective of others and share, this is our vision. This is what we want to achieve. And so, yes, you're grandstanding. That's true. Yes, you're probably self-serving. But it's not just about you now. You have to see that I want this because it also benefits all of us. And you have to do it like that.
I also like the idea that you presented to just let time heal. Sometimes there's a time to table an argument, and when the dust settle with the more cooler heads, you'll be able to find the facts and find commonalities rather than differences.
And sometimes before the things get resolved, there's another election of officers.
And so it's now talking about facts. I know you had a very big part in the Terror de Manila.
Oh yeah.
And
accidentally though, but yeah.
Now that I guess in a manner of speaking, the dust has settled. The Supreme Court already put down the gavel and said this is it. Do you see a middle ground in the conflict between heritage and business?